back, this is Butler Scuba with bonus episodes of Let's Play Final Fantasy VI. I'm joined as always by our champions, which is a party too big to really go over, but we will be going over those party members one by one because I have done an intense amount of level grinding, some might even say an insane amount of level grinding. Let's take a brief look at what I have done. Everybody is up to level 99, as you can see here. That does not necessarily mean that their HP and MP is maxed. I'll go over that in a bit. As you can see, my time maxed out. It is definitely higher than that. My gil is not maxed out, the steps are not maxed out, but everybody's level is maxed out. I will be going over them one by one, but before I do that, I want to throw this in here right now. This is not the ultimate party. I did not try to max everybody's stats. That was not the purpose of doing this. If I was trying to max stats, one thing I would do is have Odin with me, and I'd probably need to hack him in because Raiden was also very, very important. I have not tried to do max stats on everybody. I've pretty much got them to a high stat that I felt was good, and then moved on to something else. I will be going over them one by one. They are not equipped with anything, so that I have a chance to go over their stats, kind of base stats as is. So without further ado, let's get that underway. I do have Coco, as you can see, level 99, max HP, not max MP, but to be honest, that is not that big of a concern for me, as I have a relic that just demolishes any need for MP whatsoever. Her vigor is okay. I did level that up a bit. It's up to 75. What I really focused on with Coco is her magic power. That is up to 128. So I'm pretty damn happy with that. That is Coco. Next up we have Kanijo. Kanijo has 128 vigor. That is max for him. And then I started working on his magic power some more. He doesn't have either max HP or max MP, but he's so close on HP that it doesn't really matter. We're talking about 6 points here out of 10,000, so I'm not too concerned about it. Next up we have Luke. Luke has max HP, not max MP, but he's not really a magic user anyway. His vigor, unfortunately, is not all where I wanted it to go. I did focus a little bit too much on magic power for him, so his vigor was not where I wanted it, but because he is primarily an Illumina user, as I use him, that is more than enough. Plus, he can always steal, which is always a bonus. And finally, on this setup here, we have Bash. Bash has max HP, not max MP, once again, not that big of a deal. Max Vigor, though, 128, and then he was getting his magic power a little bit up. As you can see, though, he didn't have the same amount of time on magic power that other people did. Let's move on to the next party. Next up, we have Glenn. Glenn has a ton of HP, even though it's not maxed, still a ton of HP. Same with the MP, so much more than I will probably ever need. His vigor is almost maxed. His magic power is pretty good. I also mistakenly worked on his stamina before I realized how useless stamina is. I will tell you this, not that I'm trying to be a max stats guide for anybody, but I wouldn't put anything into stamina. I thought that it would increase their defense, but as I looked up anything that had to do with stats about this game, I quickly found out that stamina was not worthwhile at all. I made that mistake with a couple people, Glenn being one of them, unfortunately. Moving on, we have Lamia. Lamia is maxed when it comes to HP and MP. Her magic power is also maxed, and her vigor is pretty damn nice as well, but of course we'll be using her mostly for her magic. That's just the way that I like running with Lamia. Unfortunately for some people that doesn't work sometimes, but for me I like having it balanced, and the way to have it balanced for me is to make her mage. Next up we have Elvis. Elvis is a damn good all-around character. There's no other way to put it. His HP and MP aren't 100% maxed. He's got 100 HP points less than max, but his magic power and his vigor are pretty damn high. Considering that I'm going to be using him primarily for blitzes, I did want to make sure that I get the magic power up as high as possible. 127 is damn good enough. And finally in this group we have Novin. Novin probably has the lowest HP out of anybody in my party, but that is fine. He's exclusively in the back row, so should not matter that he is back there. His magic power is almost max. I probably should have gotten one more level on that, but his vigor is decent, still pretty low, but decent. And that's it for this party. Let's move on to the next one. Next up we have Rose. Rose, once again, maxed on HP and MP. Magic power is actually a little bit lower than I had expected it to be. Unfortunately, I got her at too high of a level. I should have still worked on it, but 123 though is very, very nice. More than I will need, I think. And her vigor is decent as well. You know, not fantastic, but it's decent. Well, it's actually pretty good if you compare it to what I went into the final dungeon without any level grinding, so I'm happy with it. Toph is maxed on vigor, not quite maxed on HP or MP, but pretty close enough, and his magic power is pretty decent. I use him primarily as a dragoon, so I'm not too concerned about magic power, but should I want to dance with him, a little bit of magic power would be appreciated, but primarily I wanted him to be a dragoon, so more attack through vigor is appreciated. Next up we have Stefan. Stefan, I didn't really know what to do with him, to be honest with you. I did waste a lot of levels on stamina for Stefan, only to find out that it wasn't really worthwhile. I thought about leveling up his strength, but of course I use him with fixed dice, which have no bearing on what kind of strength you have. They just don't care what kind of strength you have. So I went for magic power. So this is kind of my throwaway guy, I guess you could say, when it comes to the leveling. His magic power is pretty damn good. It's not maxed, but nothing on him really needs to be. As long as he's got the level, that's all that really matters for him, because of those fixed dice, which are damn nice. Damn good. I love those fixed dice. And finally in this group we do have Tweak. Tweak has maxed out his HP, pretty close on the MP, but that, once again, not that big of a concern. Very solid magic power, almost maxed. His vigor is also very nice. I wanted to make him more of an all-around like I did Elvis, simply because I can't really control what will happen when he rages, which I will go over the rages in a bit. I'll actually go over all of the different skills, but for Tweak I wanted him to be more all around as well. Magic was a priority over the strength though. And now it's time for the final two characters. And finally we have the two characters that I can't really do much with. We have Marcel up here. Marcel, he has pretty low HP. I'm not sure if it is lower than Novin's or not. It's close, but his MP is also, well, what's the point of his MP, to be honest with you? I can't use anything from it. His stats, compared to everybody else, sucks. And this is why I don't like Marcel. I don't know what to do with him. All he can do is mimic. You can actually put stuff here for him, which is kind of nice, you know, throw a blitz in there. Blitz is always great. Should you want to throw a rage in there, or runic, or sword tech, of course he'll need a sword for that. You can just go ahead and throw it in. So if I did put it in his magic, that would be appreciated. But as you can see from his magic power, it's not really worthwhile. I never end up doing anything with Marcel. So there he is. Those are his max stats. As you can see, they're not very good. It would have been helpful if I could have equipped Espers on Marcel. Next up we do have Sam. Well, finally we do have Sam. Sam, these are his stats. There's really nothing that I can do. Of course, his battle power and Actually, just his battle power is affected by the gauntlet that I do have him equipped with. That stays with him even when I unequip everybody else. Otherwise, these are his stats. It doubles his battle power, by the way. Once again, would have been a lot better if I was able to put an Esper on him so that I could increase his vigor. He has MP. I don't know why. There's absolutely no way for me to be able to use that without cheating, or at least breaking the game in a way that I don't feel like I'm supposed to. So there he is. He's looking pretty nice, aren't you, Sam? And those are the characters. So now it is time for me to start going over skills. And I'll have to switch my party around to do that. I will do showcases as necessary, but first we're going to go over Tweak's rages, and I'm not going to show those off, unfortunately. I have Tweak with me. Before I go over his rages, though, I do want to go over his magic and pretty much everybody's magic in my party. They all have the same amount of magic, which is all the magic. I have taught them everything, including Meteor, including Ultima, including Drain, including Murton, which we never really saw. It is unfocused, which means that it will hit everybody on screen. Your party, their party, doesn't matter. Hits them. Fire attack. So if you do prepare for a Murton strike with flame shields, it will pretty much do a ton of damage to the enemies and give you like a cure 3. Very nice spell. Have to be prepared for it though. Outside of that, every spell has been learned on everybody that can learn magic, which means that Sam and Marcel still have nothing, but everybody else does have everything. If you didn't think I was insane before, you might think so now, because I have done a lot of work when it comes to rages. I have acquired all of the rages that are normally obtainable in this version of the game. I say that because there are still a few blanks on the list that I'll go over when we get there, but I do want to highlight some of the best rages in the game. And once again, some I'm not an expert on the rages. I'm no master. This is not meant to be a guide. It's meant to show off some of the ones that you're going to want to look for at the end of the game, what you would want to use with Tweak. First up, we do have Ninja here. Ninja will give you access to Water Edge. It's pretty much the same thing as if bash through a Water Edge. You can do that with Tweak without wasting a Water Edge. It also gives you inherent float and absorbs poison, but it makes you weak versus lightning and pearl. Next up is the Retainer. It is the one that gives you access to Shock, which is the strongest non-barrier piercing multi-targeting attack that Tweak has access to. It is also non-elemental, which is probably preferable to having an element. It also gives you immunity to death, but it makes you weak versus poison. There are other status effects and status ailments that these will make you immune to, but I won't go over any of them other than death, to be honest with you, because that's the only one that's really important. Before I move any further though, Dark Force here is reminding me that I actually did not get all of these legitimately. I had to, in order to save time, put in a couple cheat codes in order to get, I believe, the last 10 or so that I was missing, simply because I could not get them to show up on the belt, and I was running out of time in order to get this prepped in time. So not all of these I got myself, but a good majority of these I did get. So just keep that in mind. We're going to move on though to Stray Cat. Stray Cat gives you access to Cat Scratch, which I have gone over before. It pretty much is battle times 4. It multiplies by 4 your battle power, which is very nice, except that I'm already doing max damage, pretty much as is with a normal attack, so multiplying that by 4 might not be worthwhile, but there is something else that could be used for that. Of course, if we put the offering on, that'd be good as well. Next up, we have Baskervor. This gives you access to Cyclonic. Cyclonic is kind of a weird spell. It only has a 75% hit rate, and it can't hit any enemies that are already immune to death. But should it hit those enemies, it will do enough damage to put them down to 1 out of 16 of their current HP. So if you hit an enemy that had 1600 HP with Cyclonic, it would knock them down to just 100 HP. Very nice spell if you can get it to hit, which it doesn't always do. But it's there for you. It's one of those controversial ones, but I kind of like it. Next up we have Mesosaur. Mesosaur gives you access to Stepmom, which is damn good for somebody like me. Have as many steps as I have taken in this game, it will guarantee me max damage every time if I use Mesosaur. And it's free, I don't have to use any MP for it, and it does it about 50% of the time, so I am very happy. It does make you weak versus ice, but keep in mind that Tweak has the Snow Muffler as his ultimate ultimate armor, so it will absorb the ice, so really there's no weakness there. Next up we have White Dragon. White Dragon gives you access to Pearl, but it makes you immune, and it makes you immune to death, and it also absorbs Pearl. Very nice one there.